friends, it gives me very great pleasure to welcome you all. First of the 3 lecture series, our Shastry Memorial Talks. Before I begin, I would like to say a prayer. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. May I request everybody to come to the middle, please, so it makes it that much more. All those sitting right at the end, please move towards the middle.
Don't come in front of me, please. You're too tall.
I request Shatavadhani Dr. Shri Ganesh to please come on to the stage. Our dear Padma Shri Dr. John Mar, Mrs. Wendy Mar, our very dear and respected Bharata, Dr. Bharata, and friends. As you all know, our Shastri was someone who stimulated interest towards Sanskrit amongst the people in this part of the world. He served in Manchester, and then he came in London for nearly 2 decades. He headed the Sanskrit department here at the Bhavan and worked tirelessly not only to help the Bhavan but to popularize our great heritage through the medium of Sanskrit by teaching Sanskrit, conducting classes, giving lectures, etc. He passed away 3 years ago. Unfortunately, he has been taken away from us. But with the support of all his friends and his family, we decided that every year we must have something in memory of our Shastri. Last year and before last year, we had Dr. Sradananda Das, who came and conducted conversational Sanskrit courses. And this year, we are so very lucky to have Shatavadhani Dr. Ganesh here to speak on today on Natyashastra. Before that, I would like to say a few words about Shri Ganesh ji, a wonder in the world of scholarship. Someone who is an expert in all aspects of Indian art and culture. A brilliant Sanskrit, Telugu, Tamil and Kannada scholar. A graduate in the field of engineering. Someone who knows so many different languages and who received his PhD on the subject of Avadhana Kala. Avadhana Kala is an art of literary performance. This involves an improvisation of poems using specific theme, meters, forms, words, or even letters. Details of Avadhana Kala and what it is, all that will be known to you. Please make a note of the date. Coming Tuesday, he will be speaking on Avadhana Kala. Our Dr. Ganesh ji is someone who has an in-depth knowledge about our literature, art, music, and also culture. And he has written several books on these topics. Has taken part in hundreds and thousands of Avadhana Kala events in Bangalore conducted. He is someone who is capable of composing and has composed several poems, and on-the-spot composition is an expert in that. Someone who has studied Indian music, Indian dance, and in-depth knowledge of these subjects he has. Someone who could speak with authority on these and many other subjects. Has written several books, as I mentioned to you, and has received so many awards. I'll just enlist a few. Karnataka Rajyotsava Award, Rashtriya Yuva Pratibha Puraskar Award, Badarayana Vyasa Puraskar Award, Sediyapu Prashasti, and Honorary Doctor of Literature from Tumkur University. Friends, we have amidst us an authority on Natyashastra, especially for today's talk. We will be speaking on Natyashastra for approximately 1 hour, and then you are most welcome to ask questions. I hope all the students who have been learning dance, the teachers who have an interest in Indian art and culture are here amongst us. I would request you to write your questions, keep it ready, and afterwards we will bring the microphone towards you. Afterwards, our Shatavadhani Ganesh will be responding to those. Now, over to Shatavadhani Dr. Shri Ganesh. Namaste.
जयत्येकपदाक्रान्त समस्तभुवनत्रयः द्वितीयपदविन्यासव्याकुलाभिनयः शिवः जयन्ति स्थायि सञ्चारि भावाभिनयभावुकाः नीललोहितशैलूष भ्रूलता लास्यविभ्रमाः. Good evening. I am very much beholden to Bharati Vidya Bhavan, London, and especially Dr. Nandakumarji, my long-standing friend, and the whole family of him I know. And even it's a heartening occasion, and of course it is a rather painful experience also that we don't have Professor Satyanarayana Shastri with us. However, I am here to deliver 3 days talk in memory of him. I knew him well, and all these associations, they bring a lot of aroma into the field of learning and also the topic with which I am involved. I am very much happy, and at the same time I feel diffident also to talk to you people here at this distance from India, from where I have come. And also a topic like Natyashastra, which is too well known a topic. What new thing can you expect from me? Kuto va nutanam vastu ayam utprikshitam kshamaha vastu vinyasa vaichitrya matramatra vicharyatam or vacho vinyasa vaichitrya matramatra vicharyatam. What is new stuff we can bring out apart from new format? Here also I am a little bit worried. Please bear with my English, my pronunciation, or even the syntax and whatever. I am going to talk to you regarding a work which was produced before at least 2000 years in Sanskrit, and it had a great tradition behind that, and that itself became a fountainhead of so many discussions for centuries and centuries on these topics. To give a brief introduction or to within a span of 45 or 30 or 60 minutes, it's a Herculean task. However, I am so confident about the theme, though my diffidence and my inabilities are manifolded. I think the topic itself will be engaging. I have a few things to present in front of you for your kind consideration. First, about the newness, freshness of Natyashastra, the unique feature and the universality of Natyashastra, and then some technical details regarding that. Because we have both the core theory, the principal theory, and also the practice. All these have to be involved. Tattva, the theory, and practice, prayoga. Now coming to sage Bharata, the very name is thought-provoking, and in Sanskrit that has many connotations. One such is to bear. Bibharti iti bharataha means to sustain. What else apart from a total theatre, the concept of total theatre can sustain art? It's only that. In that sense, it is the sustenance power of Bharata that produced Indian art and that contemplated on Indian art and that codified Indian art in manifolded ways. In that way, Bharata became a symbol of all that is sustainable and all that is meant for posterity after presentation. This is one connotation of Bharata. And at the same time, the very name of our country, Bharata, is after Bharata. There are many Bharatas, of course. One such Bharata is the sage of the treatise Natyashastra. The other Bharata is son of Shakuntala and Dushyanta, as we know. Even in the Vedas, we speak of him. And Kalidasa has immortalized that name in his Shakuntalam. And the Shakuntaliya Bharata or Daushyanti Bharata is one. He ruled India, he unified India, and he brought all the provinces under one umbrella. And he performed so many Ashwamedhas and so many Rajasuyas. All are explained in detail in Vedic treatises like Aitareya Brahmana, Taittiriya Brahmana, and others. This is one way of political integration. And the other Bharata is, of course, brother of Rama. That Bharata, embodiment of obedience, embodiment of selfless work. That is one dimension. And we have the other Bharata, that is sage Bharata of Natyashastra. There are many other Bharatas as well. One among the Chakravartins of Jain mythology is Bharata. And we have several other Bharatas in the field of dance and music itself. Vruddha Bharata, Adi Bharata, Nandi Bharata, like that. But I'm not going to confuse you with all that mind-boggling detail. But restricting myself to Bharata, the sage, integration from the perspective of art. Bharata not only assimilated all that was prevalent in his time in various provinces in perspective of space, she also integrated those in the span of time. In that way, he integrated the temporal and spatial concepts of art and made them eternal. And that's why in the Natyashastra we have Atra Shlokaha, Atra Shloku, Atra Arye, Atra Anuvamshiye Arye, like that. Bharata himself mentions his indebtedness to so many people who came before him. So, we should not think that Bharata is an explosion by itself. Bharata had a hoary tradition even before him. At the same time, we should not undermine his virtue, undermine his quality, as we don't have any other clear works which were composed. Though Panini speaks of Krishashva, Shilali, such people who wrote Natasutra and other works on Natyashastra, we don't have any of them. Something like Kalidasa, all that was written before him went to oblivion, and what all was written after him was mostly modelled on him. That's what Dr. V. Raghavan, a doyen in the field of Indian aesthetics and poetics, he mentions. And that he says regarding Kalidasa, and it equally applies to the great sage Bharata and his work. I don't want to discuss about the time, the possibility of his location and other things, because the work is very important. We should not undergo such mental acrobatics, because it will nowhere lead us. In the work of Natyashastra, in the work of Bharata, we have 36 chapters. Abhinavagupta, the great commentator of Natyashastra, who existed before 1,000 years in Kashmir, he says Shatavadhani Samhita, and it is Natya Veda. It is Natyashastra and Natya Veda. He makes two distinctions. Veda is universal in nature. The import, the spirit of it is eternal. That is what Veda means, according to Abhinavagupta, and even the Indian tradition speaks so. And Shastra is something which is well codified, Shasanat, well codified, Shamsanat, well revealed. It should contain something which has to be presented in an order, which has to be set in a beautiful perspective. And at the same time, you should bring out something new, something beautiful, something lasting. That aspect is Shamsana, and the other aspect of codification and scientific methodology, that is Shasana. Both are very, very important. And the other aspect of Natyashastra is, it is product of all the Vedas. In the very first chapter, he mentions, Bharata mentions, the spoken word of Natya, the total theatre, has been drawn from the Rig Veda, while the movement, the articulation of the body, Angika Abhinaya, has been taken from Yajur Veda. And the Vachika Abhinaya's other dimension is music, and that is from Samaveda. And then we have the Rasa from Atharva Veda. And so the culmination of all the four Vedas became Natya Veda, and it is Sarvavarniko Veda. Again, I don't want to go to the details of Varna and the priorities and the repercussions and all that. But what is very important in Natyashastra is, it is universal. Natya Veda is Sarvavarniko Veda. Unlike the Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva Vedas, which were prescribed for the three Varnas, the Dvijas, well, the Natya Veda is for the Advijas as well. In that sense, art is universal, and the universality of art has been beautifully suggested in this particular term, Natya Veda. But of course, Indian tradition never denied knowledge in universal sense. Jnane sarvesham adhikaraha, vidyayam sarvesham adhikaraha, like that Shankara says in his Taittiriya Bhashya. So Vidya, knowledge has right. Now everyone has right for knowledge. Knowledge is the right of one and all. How it should come, in what way it should come is a different thing. But of course, Natyashastra is not like that. Even in the form and content of it, it is universal. And the other feature is, after creating all the wisdom in the Vedas, there is no more new thing to explore. There is no more new thing left to explore, and that's why it has been reinterpreted. And that's why I started my talk with one quotation, Kuto va nutanam vastu vayam utprikshitum kshamaha vastu vinyasa or vacho vinyasa vichitra matra vicharyatam. A poem, a verse from Nayayika Jayanta Bhatta of Kashmir. He says, we have nothing new to bring out. It's only the form that can be novel. In that sense, art deals with the eternal things, universal things, which are always present, everywhere present. They are connected with our own emotions. That deals with our emotions. But how we deal with it and how we bring it out, abhivyakti, expression of it, is very important. Experience is one and the same, but expression always differs. In that sense, the form of Natya differs, but the content of it is the same age-old thing. And that's why a 10th century scholar on Natya, that is a contemporary of Bhojaraja, senior contemporary of Bhojaraja, Dhananjaya in his Dasharupaka says, Ramyam Jugupsita Mudara Mathapi Nicham Ugram Prasadi Vikratam Gahanancha Vastu Yadva Yavastu Kavibhavaka Bhavyamanam Tannasti Yenna Rasabhava Mupaiti Loke. There's nothing under the sky which is not treated as a theme, as a basic content for aesthetic production. Everything, good or bad or ugly or whatsoever, everything will become content, everything will become theme for Natya. Natya means total theatre, inclusive form. In the present context, it will be film. Bharata was not at all averse to modernity. He again and again mentions, whatever I have not dealt with here, you please substitute from your own experience and you go with it. In that sense, it is an open-ended text also. And that's why it is not Shasana in the stringent sense, it is Anushasana. It's a very compassionate instructor. Rather, it's something like a fellow traveler in the journey of art and aesthetics. Coming back to the 36 chapters, the first chapter is Natyotpatti, Natya Vedotpatti, and the last chapter is Natyavatarana. These two chapters are very metaphorical in nature. Both have two mythological stories. Here and there in the text, in other chapters also we do get such stories, but these two stories are very, very important. Many of you may as well be knowing it, but I am very fond of repeating it because it has a lot of symbolism. At the end of Krita Yuga and the beginning of Treta Yuga, that is at the end of Golden Age and beginning of Copper Age, perhaps, all the people, including the deities, demons, and human beings, they all went to the creator of Indian mythology, Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, and they had single point agenda. Kridaniyaka vichamo drashtum shrotuncha yad bhavet. We need an interactive, entertaining toy that should have audio-visual effect. Drashtum shrotuncha yad bhavet. Kridaniyakam. So they never had any lofty agenda. They wanted something simple. They wanted something direct. They have to interact with it. They have to play with it. And we should have audio-visual effect. Because we know among the sense organs, those that of sight and that of sound, they are very important. Much of our art is depending on that. We don't have many other art forms which essentially cater to other three. They become, of course, very essential, but at the same time, they are more crafts. For example, cookery is an applied art. It's not a fine art, in the sense music. Coming back to the chapter, they all go there and they pray for it, pray for a novel thing. Why they went? They started feeling pain and pleasure, and they found some leisure time also. This is very important. And it can be interpreted in two ways, according to Indian mythology, and in so many other mythological stories also we do get. There was golden age, and we started deteriorating from that, and that golden age and that life of happiness, brimming bliss was reduced, was depleted, and gradually we fell on this planet. And so we have lost charm, we have lost happiness, we have to get it back. To regain that we need art, something like that. One theory is there. So it is theory of fall. The other one is anthropological studies and the realistic pursuits they bring out. Earlier, the caveman and the hunter had no time for entertainment, had never had any finer aspects of life. When he gradually started feeling, he or she started feeling it, then came art. Art is, of course, imitation, mimesis, anukaranam. Bharata speaks anukaranam and anukirtanam also. Exalted imitation, not mere imitation, it is exalted imitation. So in that sense, in the anthropological development also, we have art came late. First is reality, and then came ideality, the form of art. And that's how they wanted to have some entertainment. Earlier people had, apart from struggling for life, nothing left for themselves. No leisure time and not even entertainment. They didn't even dreamt of that. Of course, when they started developing, they did found some time for entertainment, and they found lack of happiness, and all that was taken care of by art. These are two interpretations possible in the text, and you can take as you like it. Coming back to the story, they went, and then Brahma created Natyaveda. It means art and art appreciation is product of culture and civilization. And also in Krita Yuga, according to Indian mythology, according to stories, Puranic stories, Akrishtapacha Bhumihi, there was no need to till, there was no need to plow the earth, no need to sow, no need to reap. Everything came as it is. It is very similar to the hunting person, hunting caveman, who never had agriculture, one of the earliest forms of culture. And then he developed. We all know that story. But in Natyashastra, that point of time has elapsed, and they started feeling deficiency in that. They wanted to feel, they wanted to have something new, something more. Then came the Natyaveda. And he gives this particular Veda not even to gods, not even to human beings, let alone demons. He gives that to sages. It means art is a meditative medium, and we need lot of blissful detachment for things around us. Then only we can pursue art. In that sense, it is Kala Yoga. And that's why later in the same chapter, the great creator of Natyaveda, Brahma, he says, Nata Jnanam, Nata Chilpam, Nasa Vidya, Nasa Kala, Naso Yogo, Natat Karma, Natyasmin Yenadrishyate. He says, there's no yoga, there's no vidya, no kala, no jnana, no karma, no aspect of knowledge, no aspect of creativity that is not seen in Natya. It is amalgamation of everything. That's why rishis, seers, have self-control. We have, according to Indian mythology, the gods, they're entirely rajas, bhoga. And daityas, demons, they're entirely tamas, inaction, idleness. Human beings, common man, is always bothered by yoga kshema katarya, always bothered by his two ends, how to meet the two ends, how to meet the demands of our living. These are the problems. Very few people think about life, and sages are such people, and those can only perpetuate the Veda, Natyaveda, and that's why they were given the responsibility and they were entrusted this duty. Then first presentation was produced. It was beautiful, Samudra Mathana or Amrita Mathana, churning of the Milky Ocean. And then came the Ambrosia. All the story people who are acquainted to Indian mythology know, but the text is not interested in that. But when the production was going on, the demons, they came onto the dais and started attacking the artists who were participating there, and they wanted to stop the production. They disturbed that. Then Indra comes for them rescue, and he protects everyone. But the demons go in the form of a delegation under the heading of Virupaksha, and then they go to creator who created Natyaveda or Natyashastra. We were insulted, we were humiliated. Our loss and our humiliation was glorified on the stage, because in the churn of the ocean, demons lost and devas, deities won, and they got the ambrosia, amrita, but the demons were denied of that. So it is an insult, and this production should never be propagated, should never be popularized. Then the great god Brahma comes to the help of Bharata and says, no, you should not feel bad. In art, many times such things happen. One group will be presented in bad light, at some other time the other group will be given limelight. This will all happen. But it is Manava Swabhava, it is Jagat Swabhava, it is the nature of the three universe that has been told here. Saptadvipanukaranam Natyaveda. It is imitation, mimesis of all the people, all the races, all the communities on earth that has been shown. And it will be presenting things as they are. We should not take it personally like that. He advocates the freedom of artists. We should not insult the art medium and either the artist also. Then the demons somehow they are satisfied. In the last chapter, when Bharata teaches all these techniques of stage presentation and the aesthetics of stage production, their students, his students, 100 in number, they are also called as sons of Bharata. And then they produce many plays. They start insulting good people, they start abusing good people, they start humiliating nice people, submissive people, with the virtue of their art. Then the gods, sages, they become angry and they curse Bharata's children, Bharata's students. You be fallen people, and even the art that you are propagating, that shall be cursed one. Then Bharata goes to the sages and gods, pleads for the art. Then the sages say, art will be saved from our curse, but artists will always be cursed. It's a very, very telling story. It means art many times goes beyond persons, but artists are always human beings, and they do have weaknesses, they do have angularities, Their rough edges cannot be trimmed. Seldom we get every good feature, every good virtue in one person. And this goes true with the students of Bharata also. In that sense, the responsibility of artist is advocated, is suggested in the last chapter. In the first chapter, it is the freedom of art, liberty of artists, rights of the artist, and that the fact that we have duties of the artist. In both the sense, these two chapters are metaphorical in nature. In that way, how a Shastra, a scientific treatise, can become a metaphor in itself, how it can become a myth, a Purana, having so many layers of meaning, that is very interesting, and also becoming a code of conduct, a law in the spiritual sense. All that is Natyashastra. A Shastra like this of the ancient period has to be seen with a very, very compassionate and broad-based mind. If not, the losers are we people. If we start applying our theories of our times, if we start analyzing in our own biases, from the perspective of our own biases, what it turn out may or may not be good. But one thing is true, the text would suffer a lot. First, without any such bias, we shall try to understand and appreciate the creator and the creation. Then we start analyzing them properly. For that, we should have a sound knowledge of the culture, the mindset which produced such a great treatise. Because even any conservative dating would clearly reveal that at least before 2000 years, this work was complete. Kalidasa was very clearly having an understanding of Natyashastra, wrote his plays. Why? Even before him, Ashwagosha also wrote like that. Ashwagosha existed before 2000 years. Like that, in the internal evidence itself, we can easily understand the work belonged to at least 2000 or 2500 years. Posterity is there, work belonged to the golden age of Indian culture. At the same time, other feature of this work is it is very subjective. So many things have been told in different ways. If you start reading the book from the first chapter, second chapter of course is easily understandable because it deals with the stage, how the stages have to be built, different types of stages, Vikrishta, Chaturashra, Trishra, like that, triangular, square and rectangular stages, how they can be accommodated, all these details can be easily understood. And in the third chapter, it deals with Rangadevata Puja, which are the deities which have to be consecrated on the stage, in which directions, and how all these rituals should go. It is part and parcel of ritual and religion. It can also be understood. But the fourth chapter, Tandava Lakshana Adhyaya, deals with actual movement. To understand the movement, we should know so many other details. It gives directly Karanas, and then the combination of Karanas, Angaharas. For them, to understand them, we have to jump to 8th chapter. In the 8th, 9th and 10th chapters, we have movement chapters. They are connected with the Angika. Unless we have knowledge of these chapters, we cannot understand the 4th one. And the 5th chapter is Purvangadhyaya. To understand that, we have to get sound knowledge of music. Those chapters are in the fag end of Natyashastra. From 30th chapter onwards, we have a lot of details regarding music. In that way, it's a very peculiar text. So many chapters have been rather placed differently. Should we say assorted or confusing? Anything can be done. Anything can be said so. For that, we have to understand patiently. From the first chapter, we have to jump to the 7th chapter, and then to the 6th chapter, and then to the other chapters. Like that, a different order itself is needed. Unfortunately, even today, such a critical edition of Natyashastra is not prepared. That is the dire need of the day. So, compassionate reading needs all such equipments. Now coming back to the basic content of Natyashastra, in the 6th chapter itself, Bharata gives a beautiful equation, beautiful sutra, beautiful formula that is called Natya Lakshana Karika. Rasa Bhava Abhinayaha Dharmi Vritti Pravrittayaha Siddhisvaras Tathatodhyam Ganam Rangascha Sangraha. In this verse, he mentions 11 items: Rasa, Bhava, Abhinaya, Dharmi, Vritti, Pravritti, Siddhi, Swara, Atodhya, Gana. These are the features which are described in Natyashastra. Natyashastra is nothing but the explanation of all these 11 elements. Each element is an independent system by itself. Elaborate analysis and detail are presented in Natyashastra itself. Not to speak of its great commentary, the only commentary available is of Abhinavagupta. And he gives a lot of inputs. And of course, Natyashastra is written in a very lucid and simple language. And yet, without Abhinavagupta, we may really lose many things. To give one example, Karana, basic unit of dance, has been defined by Bharata as Hastapada Samayoga Nrittasya Karanam Bhavet. Samayoga Nrittasya Karanam Bhavet. By the combination of hands and feet, the basic unit of dance, Karana, is generated. He gives 108 Karanas. But in these Karanas, 3 components are very, very important. Of them, 2 are connected with the dynamics of Natya, and 1 is connected with the statics of it. Statics is sthanaka, the standing posture. And chari is the movement below waist, movement of the body below the waist, and Nritta, the movement of the body above the waist. These 2 movements, when they are clubbed with the static posture, that is sthanaka, it will become karana. To bring an analogy of language, something like a noun, verb, and adjectives and adverbs, they are all needed for a sentence. Kartri, karma, and kriya, as we call in Sanskrit. So, kartri is sthanaka, and then karma is chari, and then kriya is nrittahasta. So, that way, all these 3 put together, they become a sentence. Like that, karana is one basic form of a sentence. Karana can communicate a lot of meaning. Unlike the adavu of Bharatanatyam or Sadil, or the adavu of Kuchipudi, or even the tukdas of Kathak, all other Deshi classical forms of modern India, these Karanas of Natyashastra, they are both movements without reference and movements with reference. Referential and non-referential movements, both are present here. Referential means a specific meaning is being conveyed apart from beautiful articulation of the body. Non-referential is, of course, beautiful movement is there, and that itself is the end of it. That is pure dance, nritta. And abhinaya is also present in Karana because it is in the form of sentence. To give one more analogy, Karanas are like Shabda and Artha Alankaras, embellishments of sound and sense. But the adavus, the tukdas and other forms, they are like Shabda Alankara, mere embellishments of sound and not of sense. Sense comes only when you take a theme. The thematic representation is Abhinaya. Abhinaya is in a larger context, it deals so many other things. But in the present parlance, Abhinaya is restricted to emotional and thematic expression. In that way, Bharata gives Karanas as Hastapada Samayogat. But in these Karanas, at some places we don't have charis. At some other places we don't have sthanaka. At some other places we don't have nrittastas. Sometimes 2 are missing, sometimes 1 is missing, sometimes all are present. But Abhinavagupta in his commentary compensates all that. He gives beautiful explanation and supplements so many other features. In that way, it becomes very important and very useful to understand the text. But one may say, it is the version of Abhinavagupta. Of course, it is in one sense, but we should not forget, in the tradition of Natya, in the Indian literary tradition, Shastri tradition, commentaries are expansions, innovations of the original text, but without forgetting the spirit of it. At many instances, Abhinav Gupta says, I have gone to the heart of Bharata and understanding the pulse of him, I am composing this comment like that. One may say, it is his claim. Whatever may be, we don't have any other commentary apart from Abhinav Gupta's Abhinav Bharati, and that's why I had to rely upon that. Like Shankara Bhashyam, which is the oldest available commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, or even the Upanishads, which are very important and useful to understand the classical texts, like that Abhinav Gupta's also. Bharata's text is complete in its own right, but when seen from the perspective of Abhinav Gupta, in the light of Abhinav Bharati, we get lot more useful, lot more insightful things we should never forget. And that is the beauty of a living tradition. In a living tradition, every commentary will be extension of the text, will be meaningfully perpetuating the text. Only in a dead tradition, the text becomes perfect. In a living tradition, text will always be expanding, but not at the cost of its spirit. Of course, here and there we do have some deviations, some perversions, which may hamper the very cause of the text, hamper the very vision of the text. But they are easily dismissed and where they are very easily challenged. In that sense, Natyashastra needs such commentary. Apart from the literary commentary, we do have sculptures, we do have actual tradition, living tradition of practice itself in the form of musicians, theatrical people, dancers, and many more. And we should never forget that Natyashastra is not just meant for dancers. Many people restrict it as a treatise meant for dancers. It's a partial view. It is the basic text of Indian aesthetics as far as connected to poetry, prosody, to an extent grammar, Vachika Abhinaya, rhetorics, and then Nritya, dance. And then we have painting, sculpture. All are derivatives of movements. And in this sense, every sculptor should be having knowledge of Natya. When we look into a text like Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, we will be very easily understanding how dance is very important to understand and produce beautiful paintings and sculptures. In the conversation between Vajra and Markandeya, the sage, we get this wisdom. Coming back to the topic, we have works on music. Elaborate works on music are present. For them also, Natyashastra is the fountainhead. In that sense, it's a work on total theatre. Even film people also can get useful material from Natyashastra. Long ago, I had written an article, Bharata and Box Office. There I had demonstrated how modern film people have so much to learn from Natyashastra, and even they have been honest and they have been faithful followers of Bharata without even reading, because Bharata's work is reality. In the words of Shankara, it is Vastu Tantra. As it is a reality, people can realize them without even going to the text. The core philosophy can always be realized. Something like gravitation. Everyone can feel and understand gravitation. But the mathematical explanation, we have to go to Newton. But to have the feel of it, we do have it. Like that, the feel of Natyashastra is present in any successful film also. Well, coming back to the Natya Sangraha Karika, Rasa, the aesthetic experience, Bhava, the raw material for that. Rasa, Bhava, Abhinaya. Abhinaya means the mode of communication. Communication can be manifolded. Major four aspects are Vachika, with the words, verbal communication, Angika, that is articulation of the body, will be communicating, and then Sattvika, emotional communication, that is the communication, and then Aharya, communication through costume, makeup, stage props, and all that. We can extend that usefully, meaningfully, so that in film, what all goes in the form of special effects, graphics, everything can come under the heading of Aharya Abhinaya. And the beauty is, Aharya, that can always be snatched away. If you have good costume, anyone can wear it. But emotional expression No one can copy it, no one can snatch away that. In that sense, that is the Abhinaya, that is the best aspect of Abhinaya. Aharya is the lowest aspect. Lowest means it should not be looked down, but it is the most peripheral. As we come closer and closer, Sattvika becomes very important. That is why the opening verse of Natyashastra Abhinaya Darpada is a beautiful verse, the beautiful meaning. That verse is very beautiful and most popular. Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarvavangmayam Aharyam Chandrataradi Tannumas Satvikam Shivam. Some of the readings say Tamvande Satvikam Shivam. Angika is 3 words. All the universe is Angika. All the languages, all the literary expressions, all the expressions of sound are his Vachika. And all the celestial bodies, the luminaries, they are all his Aharya, Alankara, embellishment. And he himself is Sattva. Sat is truth, reality. The nature of reality is Sattva. Sadaha Bhavaha Sattvam. And anything connected with the Sattvasya Idam Sattvikam. Anything connected with the absolute reality is Sattvika. In that sense, we human beings, our existence is essentially relying on our emotions. If we are not emotive people, we are not living. Practically, we are not living. So our very life is Sattva. When that is presented, it becomes Sattvika Abhinaya. And all these 4 aspects of Abhinaya, Abhi towards Naya, moving. Abhi also means dignified, nobler, elegant, profound. All that meaning is that in that Upasarga, the prefix Abhi. And Naya, Niyate, Abhitaha Niyate, iti Abhinaya. Rasa, Bhava, Abhinaya. Dharmi. Dharmi means the mode of sustenance. Expression can be two-folded. One is conventional and another is realistic. Conventional means like our rules as traffic rules as in India, in England, while moving on the roads, left is right. But in America, right is right. Like that, we prescribe certain rules as accordingly we follow. In Natyashastra, for Saluloki, for aside talks, we never had close-ups like in our modern films. In the films, we can have close-ups so that Saluloki can be shown, or even voiceover can be done. All such facility is there in film. But how to have such facility on a theatre, in theatre, on a stage? Now we have the lighting, by having the focused light at one point and blurring the rest of the stage, we can show how his internal emotions and internal thoughts are depicted, like that. New modes of showing them. But during the time of Bharata, they were not present. That's why they did one thing like Natya Dharmi. This is Tripataka Hasta. Use Tripataka. If I am showing this Tripataka towards Nandakumarji, for that moment he is not listening to me. That is what it means. He may be listening with rapt attention, but for the people, onlookers, these words are not going to him. Like that. Asai talk. I am talking to them. Everyone is silent. Everyone is a mute spectator and nobody is listening to me. That is how I have the Swagata, Saluloki. Like the Tripataka, it's a convention. And we have so many such conventions in the gesture language. This Suchi Hasta, if once it is rotated like that, it means 1 year, 100, something like that. It may go on. This can also mean Tripataka by placing in different way, different things. If I place like this, that may mean footwear. Bharata took the Paduka, the sandals of Rama, on his head and came from forest to Ayodhya. Placing it like that, Paduka on the head and came. This is how suggestions can be extended. This Pataka Hasta has more than 40 Vinyogas applications to stop and to say what you want to say, and to show the people, and to show sky, all these, and even to write, and to say, no, I don't want to listen to you. So many things can be shown, but with the Sattva, everything should go with Sattva. I don't want to listen. I can't say, I can't show like that. While smiling and saying, no, I don't want to listen. No, I'm listening with rapt attention, that's how the expression suggests. So I don't want to listen. In that way, I have to show my expression. So any Angika should be enriched with Sattvika. In that way, the conventional movement will become successful only with the natural movement, natural expression, that is Lokadharmi. Lokadharmi is imitation of the world as it is. But we cannot bring the world as it is on the stage. Even there we have discrimination. Even there we have some judicious adaptation, and that is called Lokadharmi. Then we have Vritti. Vritti is the philosophy of dance, philosophy of theatre. How it came into existence, it's a beautiful story. I don't want to go to the story. But earlier there were 4 main clans in India. They had different warring techniques, and they became dancing techniques. This is how Dr. V. Raghavan gives the history of Vrittis in one of his papers, the same name, Vrittis. 4 clans belonging to 4 parts of India, south, east, north, west. The Satvatas from the west produced Satvati Vritti. Bharatas from north produced Bharati Vritti. And Arabhatas from the east produced Arabhati Vritti. And Kratakeshikas from south, they produced Kaishiki Vritti. That's how it is being narrated and studied by scholars. But what the import is, from the war came dance. We all know, even the Second World War and First World War, so many innovations that happened in science and technology for the purpose of military came to civilians also. In any aspect of world, we have one research being adopted for the other field. Likewise, what was struggle for life, the hunting technique, became entertainment later. Morning, what was hunted, in the night, that was imitated and that became dance. That is what we say. And even the movements of Natyashastra, they reveal the reality. For example, we have something like Bhujangat Trasita and Bhujangat Trastarechita. These are some of the Karanas. The literal meaning is being scared of a serpent. Bhujanga, serpent. Trasita, being annoyed, being scared by the movement of serpent. When the serpent just passes next to us, immediately we lift our foot. How we lift our foot, that movement is shown there. I would have shown it and you would have suffered it. That's why I didn't want to show. Serpent is just moving next to me, immediately I lift my leg. That is how the initial aspect of Bhujangat Trasita and Bhujangat Trastarechita they come. And even the posture of Nataraja, it is based on Bhujangat Trasita and Bhujangat Trastarechita. Rechita means extension, being annoyed by a serpent and then extending the foot. That is how it came to practice. In that way, looking at the animals, or Harina Pluta, or Mriga Pluta, both a Charya and even a Karna, how a deer jumps, and even Vrishabha Kridita, how a bull moves, and Sarpita, how the serpents they coil around, and then Edaka Kridita, how a lamb jumps. All these movements are enshrined in Karanas. It means whatever they saw in the day and whatever they hunted, they started imitating. That's how it would have been developed. And even the hunting mechanism became the basis for warring mechanism also. And then it came to be known as art. And that's why we have martial arts. Earlier, fighting with a sword was life and death question. Now, fencing has become an art. It has entered into Olympics also. You all know. Much of our sports is nothing but the reminiscence of war. The warring spirit is very essential in sports. That in that way, sublimating the reality, it will become art. In that sense, Bharata says, Trailokyasya sarvasya natyam bhavanu kirtanam. It is the exalted imitation of the 3 worlds. It is not mere imitation, it is not dry imitation. Dry imitation will easily wither away, will easily go pale. But when it is exalted, There comes the imagination of the artist. Mere imitation is craft, but exalted imitation is art. In craft, we have the element of utility. To speak in the language of Bhagavad Gita, Phalakarpanya, Kripanas Phalahetavaha, that's what Krishna says. People who are just riveted to results, they are mean, they are lesser people, lesser mortals. But who transcend the temptation of end results and who are enjoying the process itself, they become greater people and they are real conscious. It is not what happened next, it is how it is going to happen that's very important. It is not the end posture, it is the course of the posture, course of the movement that is very, very important. It is not from one note to other note you move. How you move is very important. So, the gap between the two notes, how effectively, in a sustained manner, how beautifully we bring it out and fill it, that becomes music. And that's why in between the tangible notes, we have intangible gamakas. Gamayanti raganiti gamakaha. They dynamically infuse a lot of beauty into that raga, into the notes, and that's why they are called gamaka. And that cannot be taught. It has to be realized. Because no instrument can show it because it is intangible. We can have the independent notes, sa, ri, ga, ma, all these are there. To give an example from Indian music, we have Todi Gandhara. In Todi Raga, South Indian music, in North Indian music, there is no counterpart for Todi. In North Indian music, what Todi Raga, that becomes Sindhu Bhairavi of Carnatic music, and that is called, Shubhapantu Varali of Carnatic music, and Bhairavi of Hindustani music will become Sindhu Bhairavi of Carnatic music. Well, the Todi Gandhara of Carnatic music is very unique. Sariga. It is neither Ri nor Ma. In between that oscillation, that complete gamaka, this intangibility can only be experienced by people who transcend the anxiety of end result. Art is nothing but process, and process can neither be accelerated nor reduced. If you have to listen to music for an hour means, you have to listen to it for an hour. You cannot fast forward it. If you fast forward, the beauty itself will be lost. So also no acceleration and no deceleration is possible. In that way, this essence of art is well defined by Bharata and explained by Bharata in that particular phrase, Anukirtana. Mere imitation is Anukarana. Anukurute iti Anukarana. Anukirtana, kirtayati, paribhavayati, shlagayati, nirupayati. So many meanings are there with Anukirtana. And that's why Indian art is stylized. And that stylization owes much to Anukirtana. Indian poetry is embellished. It's very ornate in nature. And that ornamentation cannot be easily translated into other languages. I find so much of difficulty in translating one Sanskrit verse. But it's so easy to translate the same Sanskrit verse into Kannada or Telugu or Hindi or other Indian languages because they belong to the same cultural milieu. The cultural feel is there. For example, in Indian dance, we have a lot of usage of hands, the fingers, Vyavartita, Parivartita, Udveshtita, Apaveshtita, like that. So many ways of movement of the fingers are there. These are called Hastakranas. They have to flower out as something like a flower. They have to pull out and pull in. This will happen. This is not seen in so many other dance forms, at least as far as my knowledge is concerned. Such embellishment and even curvilinear movements, Tarangita Gati, so much of movement in the fingers that can all be established, and all that attributes to the ornate nature, the convoluted nature of Indian art. In all these things we have Anukirtana. It's not just one word for Surya. There are hundreds of words for sun, hundreds of words for lotus. And the same imagery can be told in so many other ways. Your face is something like the orb of moon, a simple thing, Chandramukhi. To communicate that, Sanskrit poets have many techniques. By seeing your face, I remember moon. That is Smarana Alankara, the figure of speech connected to memory. I'm confused whether it is your face or moon. Is Bhrantimad Alankara. I swear by Jove, it's not your face, it's moon that has fallen on earth. It is Atishayukti, hyperbole. One more thing. By looking, your face is like moon and moon is like your face. It means Tulya Yogita. I don't want to compare your face with moon, but I want to say moon is like your face. That is Pratipa, inversion, imagery of inversion. Means the same thing can be told in so many ways. At least some 30-40 ways it can be told. Appai Dikshita in his Kuvalayanta, Chitra Mimamsa, he gives a lot of such examples. I am saying, to appreciate Indian music, Indian art, this convoluted nature and this complex nature of expression is very important. An agitated mind, an agitated modern mind which is always hell-bent on fastness cannot appreciate it. In both the ends, it will be failing to appreciate. Now coming back to other aspect, dharmi, vritti. In the vritti, the philosophy of it is given, I told. Bharati, verbal communication. Kaishiki, tender and graceful communication. Arbhati, forceful and impactful communication. And then we have Satvati, emotional communication. All are important. In a Shastra, when we start analyzing, we have to forcefully bifurcate the things. But in art, they are all amalgamated and in an integrated way we enjoy. To give an example, if a soup is prepared, you want to taste it, whether it tastes sweeter or harsher or whether the content of salt is more or not, if you want to taste, all are present. But for that moment, we trigger the sense of salt in our tongue and then we know, yes, salt is more. No, it is hot, it's more. All such things come, even though the thing which is going to be experienced and analyzed is complete. Complete means all the ingredients are present. For the purpose of analysis, we have to make an effort. With all effort, we have to analyze it. And that's why Abhinavgupta says, यद्यपि शब्दार्थयोः परमार्थतः भेदः तथापि कश्चन काल्पनिकः विभागः आश्चर्यणीयः एव. For the purpose of analysis, we have to bifurcate. Then we have pravritti. Vritti is philosophy and pravritti is application. Regional preferences are called as pravritti. Again, 4 divisions he makes, Bharata. We can make any number according to the regional preferences. Dakshinatya pravritti, and then Panchali pravritti. Dakshinatya is South Indian, Panchali is North Indian, and then Vodhamagadi is Eastern, and then we have Avanti pravritti, Western. These are the 4 pravrittis Bharata mentions. To give an example to understand, in South we have Mohini Attam. In South India, in Kerala, we have one dance form called Mohini Attam. When Vishnu took the incarnation of Mohini, how he danced, that element is present here. Though they use the same Carnatic music, with a different flavor they use, much like Sopanam music. Lot of oscillations will be there. And even the movements are like that. A lot of waist movements will be there, and movement of the shoulder will be there. Very few jumps will be present. Though they have many elements similar to that of Southern Bharatanatyam, we have distinctly different things. So also the Kuchipudi in Andhra Pradesh. The same adavus in different way are presented. In there also the regional preferences are very important. I feel in Kerala, because of the long coast and even the elephants, The movement of the waves and movements of the elephants, they can be very easily seen in the movement of Mohiniyattam. In Andhra Pradesh, the nature of jubilance is very present. When you see Kuchipudi and Sadir Bharatanatyam, you can clearly understand the same adavos, how they go in Kuchipudi with offbeat movements. That is called Atita and Anagata in music. Very beautiful jerks are present. It is again depending upon the preferences of the people there. The same language will be spoken in different manner. That's how the pravrittis came into existence. Each and every region, each and every person will have certain preferences. If the personal preferences become popular, a set of people start following that, it will become a style. It will become a school, like Banis. In Hindustani we have Banis, so also in Carnatic music. These are the features which are present in Pravritti. And then Gana, Swara, Atodhya. These are all connected with music. Gana is music with lyric. Bharata gives lot of songs, Dhruva Gitas. They're all in Prakrit. Dhruva means permanent. In Bharata's theatre, apart from the Sanskrit verses, lot of Prakrit dialogues and songs were presented because it was a multilingual presentation. I shouldn't even say that Sanskrit Prakrit are two different languages. They are two different dialects, I should say. One Sanskrit being realized by different people of different provinces, and they spoke in different manner, and that became Prakrit. Prakriti Sanskritam Tatra Bhavam Prakritam. In that way, Prakriti is very musical because there is no visarga and such sounds, harsh sounds, and hence you can sing very easily. And the melody of Prakrita inspired many people to write songs in that, with the beats that can be set to Tala. They are permanent fixtures. Why Indian film even today it relies much on songs? We have the root of that we have the basis of that in Bharata. Bharata says these are very, very important. They are permanent fixtures, dhruvas. Entry of a character, exit of a character, even while it is performing many acts, we will be having 5 types of dhruvas: Praveshiki, Naishkramiki, Antara, Akshiptiki, Prasadiki. In high emotions, Akshiptiki. In low emotions, Prasadiki. Like that, we have many songs. Bharata gives models of some 200 songs or so in his Natyashastra. And how the music has to be set, Swara. And then how the instrumentation should go on, Atodhya. And then he says about stagecraft, and how different types of stages have to be dealt with. These are all the 11 features that become Natya Sangraha Karika. So in this one verse, all that has been shown in a pointed manner, that has been narrated in 6,000 and odd verses of Natyashastra, and I'm not going to those details. But what I mean is, many such details have been given by Bharata. We should make our mind to look into it. For example, by Natyashastra, I'll be knowing how in those days competitions were conducted, and how stage presentations went on, and how the judges used to judge them, and how they used to declare the people who were the winners and who were the runners. All these details he gives. And also, he gives many features of composing plays, how the play has to be composed, and how the plot has to be developed: action, reaction, confrontation, confusion, and execution. These are 5 stages. Interestingly, all these 5 stages are present in any successful and any telling film or novel or any such thing. It's not just a unique feature of Sanskrit play also. It is a unique feature of any successful writing. Shakespeare's plays very clearly follow in the sense Shakespeare never studied Natyashastra. But any successful writing, any profound work of art will have these contents. Saushtava, the proportions, they are the features of any good art. For that one need not study Shilpa Shastra. But by common sense one can realize, but it is rather difficult, that's why we follow Shastra. Such features are given in Natyashastra, replete details are present. And then he also gives several interesting features. How different people belong to different provinces used to speak, how their makeup and how their costume used to differ, and how one has to imitate that, how one has to observe all these things. And even while naming, he gives a lot of attention to that. Sanskrit is a beautiful language in so many respects, and for the functionality, it is marvelous. There are several types of jewelry Bharata mentions. Some of them are aropya, the rings. They can be aropya, they can be inserted. And then aveshtya, they are tied around using even the dhotis, such saris and such things, they are aveshtya. And then some are abadhya, tied, necklace or bajubandi, bracelets, certain things are abadhya. And some are avedhya, they have to be pierced, and then that particular jewel has to be worn. Rings, nose rings, earrings. In ancient India, nose ring was not present, so earrings. And then prakshetya, perfumes can be sprayed, and even golden dust that can be sprayed. The very name itself is so beautiful. All are ending with the Labantha. Labantha of years are so attractive. Bharata gives such a systematic codification. In that way, profound content is there, and also beautiful expression is present in Natyashastra, and gives telling imagery also. In a successful production, in a beautiful work of art, objective correlative is very important. That has been of late developed by T.S. Eliot, but we see exact convergence in Natyashastra. Vibhavanubhava vyabhichari bhavat sanyoga, vibhavanubhava vyabhichari sanyoga drasnishpati. The famed Rasa Sutra, there the vibhava is cause and anubhava is the effect. Cause and effect with other additional emotional details would bring in rasa. Simple, rough translation. But here, Bharata, karya karana sanyoga drasnishpati, he has not clearly mentioned it is karya karana. That is cause and effect. He never mentions causation in the direct sense. He uses the word vibhava, cause, anubhava, effect. Vibhava means to a hero, heroine is vibhava, on which his love develops, on her his love develops, and vice versa. When hero or heroine see their lovers, what reactions they have, physical reactions and emotional reactions, they become anubhavas. Looking at the beloved, immediately, oh, you have come here, like that, face becomes bright, and we lift our hand, we move forward, all that is anubhava. And within ourselves, we have joy, we have consciousness, all that emotional detail, fleeting moments of emotion, they are vyabhichari bhavas. And the basic bhava, sthai bhava, the latent emotion present, and that is lust, rati, that will be sublimated, and that is called Shringara Rasa. This way, he is mentioning the cause and the effect system, and not directly as karya and karana. Why? Art is not just replica of the world. In world, cause and effect is materialistic in nature. In art, it is aesthetic in nature. And that's why vibhava and anubhava are the words used, and not karya karana. This insight Abhinavagupta can only provide with us. In that sense, a great commentary like Abhinav Bharati becomes indispensable to understand Natyashastra. With the time available, I have already crossed my limit. Half an hour is being devoted for discussions. That's why here I stop. It's like a boy going to a sweetmeat stall and looking everywhere for candies and chocolates and chocobars and so many things, and unable to relish everything, just touches and then goes away with a frustrated mind. So is my situation now. With this I stop. I invite for questions from your side. Of course, our tradition is so generous and objective, open-minded. When great sage Pippalada was approached by 6 seers regarding philosophical inquiry, he said, well, you stay with me for a year or so. Even after that, if you have the same questions, let me answer. Let me try to answer. If my answers are not convincing, I will join your crew as a seventh person and we shall go to some other grades here and find out answer there. So that great tradition is in support of me. Any question which I am unable to answer, let us all join together and go for it. Please. Sorry, unable to hear.
Friends, please ask your questions, make it short so that our speaker can answer them, and don't take too much of your time.
Thank you very much, Guruji. I was very pleased to hear your talk. I just want to ask one simple question. What is the purpose of Natyashastra in relation to the Supreme Lord?
I'm unable to get your question.
My question is,
What is the purpose behind Natyashastra?
Natyashastra in relation to the Supreme Lord?
Supreme Lord.
Lord. Supreme Lord.
Supreme God.
Natyashastra never enters into such discussions. It treats all gods equally. In Natyashastra, your question is beautiful from other perspective. Though its creator is Brahma, who pulled the essence of the four Vedas, Patyam, Jagrahar, Veda, Rasana, Tarvana, Adapi, like that, all the four Vedas are given as a treatise to Bharata. The Vrittis, Kaishki, Satvati, Bharati, and Arabhati, these four Vrittis were produced by Mahavishnu when he was fighting with Madhu and Kaitaba, the demons. Then the four Vrittis came. And also, Bharata produces the play. Then Shiva says, without beautiful Karanas and Angaharas, your play will be incomplete. Let me give all the movements from my dance, Sandhya Kandava. So all the 108 Karanas and 32 Angaharas were all given by Shiva. And Shiva instructed Tandu Muni to teach that to Bharata. And that's why Tandoho Idam Iti Kandavam, that came. In that way, all the three gods, Trinity, Trimurtis, are equally respected in Natyashastra. Interestingly, nowhere in the bulk of Natyashastra we have any remote mention of Sri Rama or Sri Krishna. And that's why some scholars say Natyashastra existed before the avatar of Rama and Krishna. It is left to their imagination. Well, any other question? Please.
Thank you very much. I want to pick up from where you left off at the very end about the nature of rasa. And from what I understand, you could understand the nature of rasa into sort of two main divisions as laukika and alaukika. So I was wondering about your view, because I believe Abhinay Gupta sort of talks about this alaukika.
Wonderful. I'm so happy. I didn't touch upon the details of rasa because it will take at least 1 hour. I remember one anecdote when the great poet Rabindranath Tagore had come to Karnataka. He delivered a talk in Bangalore on Shakuntalam of Kalidasa for an hour. And then one Sanskrit scholar by name Shivaram Shastri, he posed a question. Can you explain something regarding the second verse of 5th act, Ramyani Vikshya Madhuramsya Nishamya Shabdan in Shakuntalam? For that, he took 1 more hour and delivered another talk. Because on that particular verse, Abhinav Gupta develops the theory of his rasa in Natyashastra's 6th chapter. The commentary goes on that line. Paryutsuki bhavati etsukito abhijantuho, like that. That's why, because of the fear of that, I didn't say anything regarding rasa apart from mentioning that. Rasa is essentially alaukika. Alaukika means it is not unworldly. It is metaworldly. Several words mean all synonyms are not equonyms, like that. Alaukika should never be taken as nirloka. It is adilaukika. It is metaworldly. I can give one example. The basic emotions, worldly emotions, are the raw materials of rasa. But they are always associated with our likes and dislikes. Our emotions are always driven by our likes and dislikes. Our likes and dislikes are termed as raga and dvesha in Sanskrit, attraction and repulsion. So our emotions are always colored with this selfish end. But in art, this selfish end will be withered away. So non-selfishness in observing emotions, that makes the basal emotions an ethereal emotion, and that is rasa. To give an example, I am always fond of giving one example of painting colors. We know that 7 colors make white. If you take colors from any color company, mix them on a palette, will not be getting white color because they are all opaque colors. If you take 7 glasses which have the 7 colors and pass the light, it will be white in color because they are transparent. So the same red, if it becomes transparent, opaque red is bhava and transparent red is shringara. Opaque red is rati bhava and transparent red is shringara rasa. Opaqueness is because of selfishness. It is said avidya, kama and karma, basic ignorance, the causal ignorance, desire and activity. This is the chain. Ignorance is insufficiency. Insufficiency in us only triggers desire in us. For example, I have insufficiency of food means hunger is the immediate thing which comes into my body, which will be triggered. That is, hunger means I need food. The desire for food, kama, ahara kama, that is the kama. And then karma, I have to cook food or beg for food. That is our karma. In the process of rasa, though the causal ignorance will not be wiped off, it is only the purpose of philosophy to wipe off that. Philosophy is vidyanam vidya. It is the Raja Vidya. It is the best among the vidyas. But art at least shows us the way towards that. In that sense, the enjoyment of art is called rasa and Brahmaswada Sahodara, younger brother of Brahmananda. The real Ananda is Brahmananda, the bliss of the self, Ananda. So, in that sense, avidya cannot be eradicated by art. But kama and karma, for that moment they can be eradicated. And because of that, it is best among the enjoyments of the world. Though the enjoyment of art is worldly one, worldly in nature, Vishayananda, it's always better than that. If we turn the tap, water falls. If you go to Niagara, water falls. But what an amount of difference. Nobody will watch with wonder for water that falls from the tap. But we all go there, pay money and look at the maid of mist and all, we come back. Why? It is the sublime nature. It is the discharge, the downpour. So that grandeur is there, and that is in art. The ananda, the enjoyment that we get from art is sublimated one. Though we are getting from an external agency, we are relishing our own emotions, and that's why art cannot be judgmental in nature. Our likes and dislikes will be different. I want to share one thing which happened in India before 30 years or so. Long ago, when the TV advent was afresh in India, Ramayana was produced as a tele-serial. Then people were crazy about that. Everyone was watching Ramayana with rapt attention. Then at the end, a survey poll was conducted. Who was the best actor? People voted for Ravana, Arvind Trivedi, and not Arun Govil Rama. They were not liking Ravana, but they liked the acting of Arvind Trivedi as Ravana. This distinction has to be seen. In art, the evil will be appreciated as a character and not as a person. For example, Iago of Shakespeare is a wonderful character, but a worst person. I don't want to befriend Iago in my life, but I want to appreciate Iago's character on stage. This is how in art judgment will be suspended and the emotions will be appreciated. And the appreciation of emotion can happen at the level of rasa. And judging an emotion can happen at the level of bhava. That's why we have good and bad in terms of black and white in the real life. But in art, we'll be having lot of grey shades. And such appreciation has to make our sensitivity finer and finer to look at the real life situations also. And that's why we have two definitions of rasa. Rasanam rasaha and rasyante iti rasaha. Rasas are tasted is at one subjective level. Very taste itself is rasa at the highest level of idealization. And the first one is with the navarasas. And the other one with the paramarasa or adhirasa. So we have many such connotations. I'm very happy that you asked a very seminal question, but the time is not permitting me to elaborate more on that. Can you please ask the question? You are about to ask some question. Please.
I wanted to ask you, can you just comment on Sangeet Ratnakara in context of Natyashastra, please?
Sangeet Ratnakara of Sharngadeva is a medieval work. Perhaps around 13th century it was written by Sharngadeva of Devagiri. There, the 7th chapter, we have Nritya and Natya. All the Karanas are explained along with Deshi Karanas. There he keenly follows Abhinav Gupta. To quote Padma Subramaniam, Dr. Padma Subramaniam has done wonderful research in this area. What Abhinav Gupta has written in prose, Sharngadeva has written in verse. So Sangeet Ratnakara owes a lot to Abhinav Gupta. There his rasa theory is no way different from that of Abhivyaktivada, what was propounded by Abhinav Gupta. But it deals only with Ahangika Abhinaya, not with Vachika Abhinaya and not with Aharya Abhinaya. Natyashastra is encyclopedia in nature. But Sangeet Ratnakara, it deals with music elaborately and then instrumental music. Vadyadhyaya, Prabandhadhyaya, Swaragadadhyaya, Gitadhyaya, like that we have 7 adhyayas. Of them, 6 are directly connected with music and only 1 adhyaya is connected with dance. Any other question?
Any next question, please? Another question,
Please.
Could you comment, sir, on the breadth of the tradition of dance and drama in India of Natyashastra, in view of the fact that the common features of, for instance, Indra Dvaja, the raising of the banner of Indra at the commencement of a drama festival, which is quite prominent in the early chapters of Natyashastra, but also in Tamar, in Shilapratikadam, there's
Madhavi doing the dance in the Dvayotsava.
Kanuveri, where she tunes the harp, the yard, but this Indra Vira is mentioned there,
Yes.
complete with the Indra call, the bamboo banner
Yes.
of Indra. So could you comment on that?
Oh, wonderful. A very technical question. I enjoy this. I told the story when the demons attacked the actress who are presenting Amrita Mathana or Churning of the Ocean, that play. Indra came for rescue. He started beating the people by pulling a pillar there, a stamba or dhwaja, a flat post, and started beating the enemies, the demons. And then he restored peace on the stage and the production was continued. Then he presented that as a trophy to Bharata and said, may this protect you and your production later. And then it became a tradition to enter with Indra Dhwaja, or that was called Jarjara. Jarayanti Daityaniti Jarjaraha. That will destroy, that will subordinate the demons and that will suppress them. and that will vanquish them. With that meaning, Jarjara came into existence. It has 5 strands. One for Brahma, other for Vishnu, and the other for Shiva, and then for Skanda, and then for Sarpa, like that. It is something like a towering feature. And their different colored flags have to be decked in, like that it goes on. And in the beginning of any stage production, the formal presentation is called Purvaranga. Purvaranga is something like to warm up the connoisseurs for the main production. Purvaranga was used. Bharata says, if the connoisseurs are real rasikas, you need not elaborate on that. It is something like the advertisement which come before the film. Like that, these Purvaranga elements which go on, 17 to 19 elements are present. And there, Jarjara Sthapana is one. Sutradhara, with his 2 assistants, they come to the stage, they dance, and then in the northeastern direction, Ishanya direction, they they erect that Jarjara. And then the 4th one comes, Chaturthakara, and he comes and worships it. Tom Mahendra Praharana, Sarvadanava Sudana, like that the shloka also Bharata gives. And later he says it should be sung in specific tala with specific syllables, like that. He gives another detail also. This particular thing is mentioned in Shilapadikaram of Kovalan, of Ilangu Adigal. There, Madhavi on dances in Kaveri Pattanam, Pumpugar, will be dancing during the festival of Indradvajotsava. This period is Indradvajotsava period. Navaratra festival period is Indradvajotsava period. After the rains, because agro-based society, agricultural society essentially depends on rains, especially India, which is dependent on monsoons, it has to depend on rains. And good rains, good showers means good harvest, directly proportional to richness of water, abundance of water. That's why they wanted to show gratitude to Indra, and that Indra Aradhana became Indradvajotsava. Lot of references of Indradvajotsava are present in Ramayana and Mahabharata and other things. When Dasharatha got fainted and he fell on ground, Valmiki says he fell like Indradvaja, which was fallen on the ground after the Indradvaja festival, Indramaha festival. It's also called Indramaha. Scholars like V. Raghavan and even Vasudev Sharan Agarwala have written a lot about these things. Even today in Bali and other islands of Indonesia, we see the reference of Indradvaja, and there we do see the bamboo stick in this season being erected there. And that tradition is seen even today in Indian traditional theatre. In Kuchipudi dances, Madhavi, Vidushaka, and even the Sutradhara of the play, he comes. Madhavi, though is a female character, will be enacted in male costume by a man. He comes with a stick in his hand, and that represents Indradvaja. And in Tiruputtu of Tamil Nadu, jester comes with a stick in his hand, and he is called Kattaikaran. Kattai in Tamil means a stick. So that, even in Yakshagana, we have something like that. Everywhere we do see such references. Accordingly, it is the relic of Indradvaja that is present. Thank you.
There's a question at the back.
Last question, please.
Namaste, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful talk. I was wondering about the possibility of Natyashastra having inspired or influenced in any way classical ballet, because we usually talk about Rukmini Devi Arundel being inspired by Anna Pavlova. But if you go back a little in history, ballet started in Italy and France in 15th, 16th century, and at the same time the French were also having their settlements in India. And there's a lot of similarity between ballet techniques and the Karanas especially. So I was wondering if there's been any studies done on this? Or
I don't know whether Srimati Rukmini Arundel got inspired by Natyashastra or not, but this much I can say. In Indian theatre itself, we have a lot of group productions. In Natyashastra itself, in the movements, Pindi Bandha. Pindi Bandha means clustering and group dance. Kamala Pindi, Mayura Pindi, Trishula Pindi, Shivalinga Pindi, like that, many such Pindis are given. Pinda means making a ball. coming together, clustering. Pindi Bandha is something like that. In the Pururanga, Lata, Shrinkalika, like that, in the form of a creeper, in the form of chain, dancers should join, separate accordingly. An aesthetic effect of movement has to be produced, like that Bharata gives. Asarita, then Marga Sarita, like that in those things. Bharata mentions how a group dance should go on. And we have the very clear evidences of many plays also. And even in the regional theatre, for example, Yakshagana, the beautiful regional traditional theatrical form of Karnataka, especially coastal Karnataka, there we see dance drama productions. To me, the most close example of Natyashastric presentation is in Yakshagana. Especially the Badavatittu Yakshagana, the northern school of Yakshagana, even the Aharya, the costumes, they are in tune with Bharatas. And there we have the spontaneous Vachika, and then the songs, Dhruva songs, the Bhagavata, the singer will be singing, and accordingly the dance will go on, and then the dialogues will be delivered by the actors. Bharata's actors were not at all singing. Orchestra was provided, that was called Kutupa in Natyashastra. In Yakshagana also, the Himmeda, the background singers will be there, singer, and then instrumentalist will be there, and the dance will go on when the song is presented. When the song stops, then the dialogues will go on. So all the three abhinayas are there, and every actor should be gifted with emotional presentation, that is Satvika. These are all present. I don't know whether Rukmini Arundel had an understanding of this, but I can infer somehow that she got inspired from Kathakali. Kathakali is cousin of Yakshagana. Kathakali is also a traditional theatrical presentation very close to Natyashastra in spirit, and many movements of Kalakshetram dance has its roots in Kathakali. Even many products of Kalakshetram, they were influenced by that. Typical example is the great Dhananjayan. His movements, lot of Kathakali elements are seen. That's how she would have been influenced by such regional traditional theatres. We can't rule out that. But whether she really went through Natyashastra or not, I don't have any idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, last one. Yes, please. Can we have the microphone?
Please.
Thank you. Just a question on training. How dancers are, how the artistry is attended to, as well as the technical aspects of dance. In terms of the dancer's training, how is artistry, or the emotion, or the other aspects of the performer trained? Is there a place for that in the training?
Training, how it used to go on?
The performers who are delivering the art, is there a sort of a nourishment or a training of their own artistry in the process of the technicality, as well as developing the technicalities needed to dance?
You want to know about the training aspect that is given in Natyashastra?
Yes.
Lot of elements are present. He gives lot of qualifications that are needed for an artist. To become an artist, what are the qualifications needed? Nata Lakshana, Nati Lakshana, Nartaka Lakshana, like that all the details are given. And then the way in which the text is written, that itself is a training. If you look into the Tandava Lakshana Adhyaya, how each Karana has to be performed, he then uses Saushtava is very important. And every movement has to be embellished with Rechaka. I told that that Rechaka is a beautiful aspect, intangible aspect of dance. I mentioned about Gamaka. Dr. Padma Subramaniam very beautifully draws parallel between Gamaka of music and Rechaka of Natya. To make it personal, to make a raga, to make a swaragrama personal, so that originality will be restored, the musician will have his or her signature of the using of Gamaka. And every raga is so. Because of the variations of Gamakas, the ragas themselves will get changed. To give an example, the Darbari Kannada of Hindustani music, if it is sung with a different tempo, with a different emotion, it becomes Adhana. Adhana is a very brilliant and very heroic raga, while Darbari is very heavy and very deep raga. Likewise, we have Manj, a raga of Carnatic music, a subset of Bhairavi. Like that we have. It's all because of the Gamakas. The same notes in Madhyamavati will become made in Hindustani music. But Madhyamavati's flavor itself is entirely different when compared with Megha of Hindustani music. In that way, Rechakas, they give personal touch, they give uniqueness to Karana. And they have to be adopted according to the Acharya's teaching and the inspiration that a student gets from one's own, from within. These things will certainly point out towards the training aspect. And then Kapu Adhyaya. Kapu means intonation. In what way you want to say. How the same word with different intonations will bring in different meanings. This is again another aspect of training. That so many features are present. And then we have a lot of references to dance learning, theatrical practices in later works. For example, a less known work of beautiful creativity, Damodar Gupta, a 9th century poet of Kashmir, in his Kuttini Mata, the opinion of a harlot, he gives a very detailed description of play Ratnavali, how it was staged in Varanasi. Dr. S. Janki, a devout student of V. Raghavan, has written a lot about this particular occasion in Kuttani Mata, how a production used to go on like that. Why? Even in a play like Balaramayana of Rajashekara, how the detailed way of Abhinaya has to go on by giving stage directions. Even a commentator like Raghava Bhatta on Kalidasa Shakuntala and even Bhavabhuti's Uttaram Charita, he gives lot of presentation techniques. They're all because of the training that they got. And we have the live example of so many artists. They have been trained from teachers, from masters, from time immemorial. We will be knowing it. But elaborate recording of that is not made, because when a tradition is living, we don't even find the need. To give an example, cookery books are present, but in no cookery book, you first lit the stove and then place the pan on it. You place the pan on the stove, that's what they say. The stove has to be on, the stove has to be lit, nobody will say. Because it is a living tradition, nobody will go to such details, hence it is not given. But there are instances. One book on Gita Govinda from Tanjavur Saraswati Mahal Library, it speaks about the Abhinaya of Gita Govinda, how every verse, every line of Gita Govinda has to be enacted. That is a training. We have something like Kavishiksha, training for poets. Kshemendra, a devout student of Abhinav Gupta, in his Kavikantavarana gives like that. Amarchandra Suri in Kavi Kalpata he gives. Like that, there are many people who have given training for poets. Many treatises for training for poets are given. Such treatises exclusively are not given for actors. But they are mentioned here and there. By that we will be knowing that there was a method, there was a tradition.
Friends, we will have to conclude. I would request our Vice Chairman, Padma Shri Dr. Janmar, to kindly propose vote of thanks to our wonderful speaker.
At the end, all are invited for snacks in our Hati Hall. Thank you.
Dr. Ganesh, Director, friends. What a voyage, I think I would like as a simile, what a voyage through the ocean that is the culture and art of India as expressed, as our speakers told us so ably, in Natyashastra. I often feel that the culture of India and the tradition of India is like a cut jewel, that it is one object, it is one piece of stone, to put it rather crudely, one piece of stone, but you look into the facets of the cuts that have been made, and you see different colors, different perceptions, but in the end, it all boils down to one entity and one tradition. And if anyone, in my limited experience, has demonstrated the validity of how our culture is not only propagated, but felt on the part of the audience, never mind the performers, this duality of experience. Our lecturer has given us that insight. Clearly, from a wide range of perceptions, not only in the classicism of the texts themselves, and that, to me, vital link with sculpture and iconography. After all, where do we have the 108 Karanas expressed? I remember very well when Wendy and I were at Anamale in the 50s, in the temple at Chidambaram, in the East Gopura and the West, both those sculptures, fortunately with the text, thank goodness.
Yes, with
There's
the text.
another set at Tiruvannamalai that hasn't got the text. But all the sort of unification that is summated in the Natyashastra. And so we could not have had a better navigator than yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhavan. Friends, thank you so much. On Monday, Shatavadhani Dr. Ganesh will be speaking on Valmiki, Vyasa and Kalidasa. And on Tuesday, the art of Shatavadhana. So you're all most welcome to come for those two. And please do tell your friends. Tomorrow, we have a special seminar on the life and works of Dr. S.L. Bharata, one of the leading personalities in knowledge, scholars from our state, Karnataka. He's here. That's at the Nehru Center. The event is at the Nehru Center at 2:45. Those of you who can come, please do try. And on Sunday, we have